Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Michael Mudge, joined by Greg Van Beck, here to talk mostly things Star Wars and little change of pace here. We're actually live this time.
Oh, boy. Man.
I know, isn't that? Who would have thought we would have gotten to this point, especially after last week when we attempted to and failed miserably. And that was my fault. But we're here. We're live.
We're doing this.
What's going on, G-Reg?
Oh, man. Not much. Tore apart an engine today, so that was fun.
Ooh. Did you have to put it back together?
Yeah, I did. Oh, yeah. That was the whole point of the class. Tear it down, and then put it back together, make sure it runs. It did. First pull.
First pull. Holy cow.
Yeah. Oh.
I can't even get the stuff in my garage that I've been using a lot on first pull.
The important thing, I needed to make sure I can do it first pull, seeing as how I sell engines for a living. So, it's nice to know what you're actually selling.
Do you have to be like tested on any of that stuff? Like you don't get the job, or you get like a demerit in your salary if you don't pass a test.
No, I don't have to be tested, because if the question gets too hard, I can always just refer to the engineering team, because they are way smarter than me. So
don't sell yourself short.
I didn't say
you're just smart, different kind of smart.
I never said I wasn't smart. I just said they are way smarter than me. Now there's a difference between the two. There are tiers. Okay.
All right. So what tier do you fall in? Are you like the Rogue One tier, where it's like you've got the OT, but you're Rogue One?
I would comfortably put myself in like tier 3.
Okay.
All right. Like there are like Mensa, like ridiculous. Then there is like our buddy Matt.
Yep.
Then me. And I'm going to lump you in there too. Maybe you're like tier 2.5.
I thought I was going to be tier 5 because
no,
I just wait till you have the answer and you whisper it, and then I raise my hand.
No, like when it comes to book smarts, like our whole group is good. Street smarts, we're all still like tier 3 and above, except one who shall not be named, but he knows who he is.
Yes.
I mean, I could name him. He's not listening to this. Like, let's be real. He's not checking in on us, but he knows who he is, and he tier 5 at best when it comes to street smarts. So that is my little, smart scale rant.
I like it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Star Wars, we're what, tier 2? We're not quite that tier 1. We don't know everything. We get second place in trivia, brewery trivias or bar trivias. So
I think if we like Power Rangers this and like combine our our abilities,
then we're tier 1.
We could definitely take out a tier 1. Yeah. But solo, nope, not happening.
Tier 2.
Yeah.
All right. Well, and to all the listeners out there, feel free to send us some questions in the chat, or just hellos, or whatever your thoughts are. We've got a live chat going, so looking forward to communicating with everyone out there. And I know Dustin's been having a little technical difficulties, so maybe he'll throw us some questions here and there if he jumps in on the live chat. But we'll just start out with some news and rumor elements. So we were just talking right before we started that there's been recent, I would call it rumor updates about 2025, 2026, 2027 movies. I think Star Wars might have announced that was their movie plans, but it's rumored that it'll be Damon Lindelof who will be running those, or at least one of the films, the one that's landing in 2025. And we were also kind of talking, I mean, since it's 3 consecutive years, probably not a trilogy, because they've never done trilogy back to back to back, but at the same time, maybe it's a new approach they want to take.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking on that?
On the back to back to back, or like the trilogy,
Sure, both.
Having a movie get released, and I think we touched upon that. I don't remember if it was on air, off air last week, but having one get released every year this feature film, go to the theater, have the event, I feel kind of saturates, and you're going to see like a decrease on your ROI. People will still go, but I feel like it's too much in a short amount of time, and there isn't enough time between them for the buildup, for the marketing aspect, for you to watch 2025's movie, let it all sink in, get your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions all out on the table, rewatch it 10, 12 times, and really understand the movie, and then have like a year to build up for, if it is another trilogy, have that year to build up for the next. So that's, I wouldn't mind another trilogy. I think we've touched on it in the past. High Republic, they seem to be touching more on that era within Star Wars, and so a trilogy makes sense, especially with the popularity that the books have had. It just makes sense to bring that from paper to big screen.
And we know we're already going to get the Acolyte show, so we'll start to get that little teaser for live action High Republic-ish, because it's still set into that time frame, and we'll jump into Acolyte later. But I agree. A lot of potential for a big screen High Republic. So I'll be anxiously waiting to see what the true announcement is for what the show is going to be about. If they can just give us like a time frame
show,
the movies, the 25, 26, 27. One, like we've been talking about, is it a trilogy or is it just like anthology films? And two, like when is this going to take place?
And the anthologies really, what story are you going to try to, because that could be a crash and burn depending on the story that you pick. If it is that true one-off that doesn't attach to something that already has a following, now we know how divided the Star Wars community can get. You might lose people because, hey, we're doing, this movie is about X. Well, I don't like that. I'm not going to go see it. That doesn't intrigue me.
Right. So I think you can expect some kind of division. Unfortunate to say, but I guess that's not always true, because with the sequel trilogy, that split didn't occur until the second, portion of that trilogy came out, because everyone was on board after Force Awakens. At least a majority of the fans were. So
and even that, like, it was, it was after you watched The Last Jedi and just certain aspects of it. And I know you've brought up, like, when you rewatch it, or Last Jedi taken in a vacuum, that movie on its own isn't that bad.
It's quality product. It's a quality film.
As a standalone one-off, kind of a Rogue One or a Solo type movie, it's a fairly entertaining Star Wars movie. But when this is supposed to be the bridge that gets you from the beginning to the end, that's where it falls apart. And I think that's what upset some fans. That, and I think a lot of fans carry, their own expectations, and their, which is understandable, but they carry their expectations, they carry their storylines that they have in their head for where it should go. And then when they go watch the movie and it doesn't track with what they want, their first instinct is to be upset. Well, this isn't how it's supposed to be. This is stupid.
Right.
I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life. Well, yeah, but a lot of these other directors and their producers and everything have been Star Wars fans, and this is the story that they are trying to tell. So to a certain, aspect of it, you just have to sit back, clear your mind, open it, and enjoy the Star Wars content that you're getting. And then obviously you can critique it after the fact and, like, okay, I would have done this, I would have done that, but go into it with the open mind and the expectation that you're going to be entertained.
Because we all have to remember too, it's not our story that we're telling. I mean, originally it was George Lucas's story that he was telling, and now it's Disney and their creators' story that they're taking from that. And I saw some article, and it was talking about how George Lucas was upset about Disney like not listening to his ideas when it came to like the sequel trilogy and some of the other stuff. I totally get it. I understand, like, it kind of upsets me too, because he's like the creator of this, so you probably should take his advice and his input. maybe just a tad.
Just a little.
But at the same time, like, how upset can he be? Because he was the one that sold it to Disney. And when you do that, you're saying this is now your story. So I get it, but you kind of have to deal with it at that point.
Yeah. Like, you can't have, and I feel like that is, he wants to have his cake and eat it too. It's
right.
Like, well, no, like you can either keep the franchise and keep complete creative control over it, or you can sell it to Disney for a buttload of money.
Right.
And ride off into the sunset. But you can't do both. You can't take the buttload of money and then tell them how to do it.
And that's just more from like a logical, comprehensive thinking.
Yeah.
As fans, like, of course, I'm like, Disney, listen to freaking George Lucas, because he knows what he's doing. But yeah, exactly. You can't have your cake and eat it too, like you're saying.
But now you got, Filoni Filoni's not too bad. He's doing good. Doing all right with some of it. And like I say, now instead of having George Lucas, you've got the three-headed monster that's doing great with Bryce Dallas Howard and Filoni and Favreau.
And now Gilroy with what he's done with Andor and Rogue One.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting with all this content coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like playing feeler for like all these different directors and producers. Deborah Chow, she just got nominated for an award. Yeah, she just got nominated for an award. I forget what kind of award, but for her production on the Kenobi show.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she did a great job on her episodes of, what was it, Mandalorian that she did, or was it Book of Boba Fett?
I thought it was Boba, but maybe it was.
I think you're right. Or maybe it was both. Who knows?
Maybe it was.
Someone knows.
Maybe it was work on Mando that got her. That got her
the trust to take on the Kenobi
Boba spot. Yeah,
that very well could be. And speaking of like producers and stuff, we were talking about Lindelof, and if you're not familiar with him, he's worked on things like Lost. He's worked on, he was the executive producer on the Watchmen show. He was executive producer for the Prometheus movie. So I know Dustin's not a fan of that. So the thought of Lindelof taking this, maybe he's not too happy about that. But so I think he's got some mixed reviewed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He was a producer of the Star Trek movie and Into Darkness for Star Trek. So, and I liked those movies. I thought those did a good job.
Yeah.
But
Deborah Chow did not do Book of Boba.
She did Mando.
Episode 3, episode 7. So chapter 3, The Sin, chapter 7, The Reckoning from season 1 of The Mandalorian was what she did. And then she directed 6, which Kenobi was only 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, she ran with the whole Kenobi show.
Which was a great decision.
What were the episodes for Mando? You said chapter
3, The Sin.
Okay.
That's where Mando delivers the child to the client. Asks about plans for the child, but
that was a good one. That was a good one.
And then chapter 7, The Reckoning.
Okay. That was the start to the final conflict with Moff Gideon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Gideon arrives.
That was when they brought in all the people from the 501st to ask to play extras.
Yep, anybody local that could go. Yep.
We never got our call with our helmets.
No. It's okay. Mine's not movie quality.
Next time.
I liked how Pasquale and the like the crew picture or the cast picture with the 501st, members of the 501st.
Oh yeah.
He didn't take his helmet off as Mando.
I mean, it's only appropriate, right?
Well, of course. Yeah.
Only IG-11 could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't wait for that show to come out. March 1st. March 1st. Can't come soon enough. And speaking of shows, I think we mentioned previously, we're going to be spacing out our Bad Batch talk. So we'll wait till next week and we'll talk episodes 3 and 4. But I am excited to talk about the recent one. But
3 was the cameo.
Yeah.
That was in it. Oh
yeah.
my God. My jaw dropped. Like dropped when that cameo was announced. I was like, no way.
And I'm just going to throw the spoiler tag just in case we accidentally slip and say something. So
I'm done talking about it.
I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to not talk about it, but
I'm, and by done, I mean, it might come up.
So that's why I'm just going to throw that.
Yeah. Well,
that spoiler tag just in case.
But you've had a day and a half to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's how I look at it. Like, at this point.
Right. Well, first I'm going to give a quick shout out to Dr. Matt's studio from across the pond. Thanks for your message. We love hearing from you. International. Did you see our stats?
Yeah, I did.
25 different countries.
Well, Yep. This podcast has been more places in the world than I have.
Right?
But I mean,
by a lot for me.
All it had to do was get out of the United States and Canada, and it's been more places in the world than I have.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to England, I've been to Italy, Mexico, Ireland, and the Bahamas.
To say you spent a summer like digging up bones or something like that in Ireland, didn't you?
Yeah, that was
high school, college.
That was college. Because one of my majors was anthropology, where I focused on archaeology, and I did a field school dig in Roscommon, Ireland. So we were digging up a medieval ring fort. We didn't find all too much. We were like one of the last legs of it. We found a lot of foundation. We found a bone pin that was pretty cool, but I'll digress though. It was fun though. Yeah, I've been to Ireland.
Very nice. Very cool.
I know you had some things about the Acolyte that you wanted to talk about.
I did.
You want to bring us to that?
I did. What did I have?
You talked about how it's going to be talk about the origins of the Sith and crossing over like the High Republic era and leading into how the Sith infiltrated the Jedi.
Yes. So what you just said, that's what's going to happen.
What are your thoughts on that?
I really enjoy it. I mean, the fact that it's 100 years before the Phantom Menace. That's the setting for it. So it's 132 before A New Hope. So takes you back, which is really kind of cool because outside of Yoda, all the major players that you would know of. I mean, maybe Plagueis or not Palpatine, maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, the guy.
Yeah, and I think
doesn't know how to defy death, and he is, that old. You don't know, but Yoda, because when they talk, like when he passed away in what was that, Empire?
Yes.
Yeah. He was like 900 years old.
Oh wait, when he died? Sorry, I was reading something really quick. Return of the Jedi.
Return. Yeah, that's I knew what. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, that didn't sound right, but everything. I always go back to Empire because
we always do.
Kind of cool. Yeah, it just That's my pivot point.
That's
Was it
your pivot.
Empire? No? Okay. All right. We'll figure it out. But no, when he passed, hey, when 900 years old you get, so clearly, considering that, Return of the Jedi was only, 6 years, 8 years, like time frame wise, it was still not, wasn't hundreds of years after A New Hope. So he's going to be 600, 700 years old. He could make an appearance in Acolyte. You don't know.
Right.
Especially, I would assume so, especially if the Sith if it is in fact true that the Sith are infiltrating, it shows them infiltrating the Jedi Order. You got to believe Yoda's going to be somewhere in there. He may not be a focal point for the show, but it'd be a nice cameo. Throw him in there. Hey, awesome.
Yeah.
So I like what I'm hearing the Acolyte's going to be focusing in on the Sith, because we've talked about, in the past. Now we joked about, having just like a everyday run of the mill, like Empire show, like, the regular people of the Empire going to work, and give me a show like The Office, but set at like an, empirical base.
Yeah.
I think, like the Dunder Mifflin of the
Empire. There you go.
Could be interesting.
Can it take place? Yeah, take place on the Death Star, like your offices within the Death Star, leading up to the tragic events that take place to your everyday workers.
Series finale. You already know what the series finale is. But I think there isn't enough, true attention given to the Sith. Like, there's lip service, and that they're bad, but how do they get that way? Like, it wasn't that they just kind of woke up like, nah, I'm pissed off at the world, I'm going to, no, like a lot of them have we've seen, they started as Jedi. What made them turn? Like, was it the Jedi Order? What, there was something. So there's a story to be told there. So the fact that the Acolyte is going to do it and do it in the High Republic era is really good, because you're getting new story, new location. Very interesting. I like the choice.
And I know they've released some images from the filming of it, and for those that have read the High Republic books, or the comics, where the comics actually have the visuals, so that's kind of a little more of an aid, but you see them wearing their cloaks, and they're kind of like that golden brown cloak. So they're really giving off that High Republic theme, and that feeling. But obviously it's going to deal with the dark side, so it's probably going to go dark pretty quickly in that show. But just another call out to Dr. Med Studio. That's awesome that purchase you made from Etsy. When you get you should get a picture of it, send it to us. We'll share it out. I want to see this. And you are up late. We appreciate you. We appreciate you staying up late to talk with us. Let us know any questions that you want us to speak to. We're here for you.
You're going to have to tell me the comments, because I got nothing on this end.
Yeah. Okay. That's something I should probably try and figure out. I don't know if it's possible. So if anyone knows how I share, like, what's being chat. Oh, I know. Just go to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, not happening. You can see the comments, can't you?
I can see the comments. I'm not going to read. All you
gotta do is,
I'm not going to read word for word.
You don't have to summarize.
Yeah, I did. So he mentioned that he said hi, speaking to us from across the pond. He said he's up late because he's working on a pet project, and he recently bought something off of Etsy, and it's a prop replica of a Blackwing virus from the Star Wars Legends novel Death Troopers. I haven't read that, so I'm not familiar with it, but I have seen that book, and I just take a long time to read books. So
now I want something about the Death Troopers. Like, bring them to live action too. Yeah, everybody comes along for the ride.
Yeah, and he said his purchase is a medical glass viral that has a label on it, a rubesh, and inside are red spores floating around, and he just bought a tube container to help keep it safe from getting damaged. So that sounds pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
What is
all
it?
right.
I want to know what it says in Arubish. But yeah, send us the picture when you get
I
it.
thought you were telling me you wanted. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, Greg.
Speak it.
Speaking of Arubish, there's a lot of people trying. I said I wasn't going to talk Bad Batch, so I'll withhold. I almost did. I held off. But yeah, the Acolyte. It's going to be very interesting how they go with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be dark. They've already announced a lot of the casting for it. Well, they should, because it's going to come out, I think, later this year. So they must. I wonder when they'll wrap up filming for that, but and start production.
I don't know.
But yeah, Yoda. I think his entry in that show will probably be very similar to the books, because he doesn't really play a prominent role. He's there. They'll make mention of him here and there, but nothing major.
Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
I just, he's around, like, because he was 900 years old. So even if you're only going back 100 some years, he's around. And I have to believe that even at 700, 800 years old, Yoda played a prominent role within the Jedi Order. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm really interested to see how they do it with everything. Because I like the idea behind it, and I love the fact that and this goes back to like where George Lucas had his vision. Disney isn't afraid to kind of test the waters and expand the universe of Star Wars, which I really enjoy, because it's not keeping you within that Skywalker saga, that little box bubble that we have been in for years. Not saying I don't like the contents of the box, just
so do you think, or do you want them to keep going back to that well?
The Skywalker well?
The Skywalker well. I'm not saying frequently, but like after time, do you want them to still come back to that? Like, is there still stories in that you think people want to, or specifically that you want to hear? What are your thoughts on that?
I think I think now I would like to have certain characters within the Skywalker saga, have them fleshed out, like fleshed out. Yeah.
Sure.
get more of their story. Like
we're tier 3. Remember, everyone, we're tier 3.
like Count Dooku. Or you've seen those like the movie posters for like Revan, Vader, Boba. Which movie would you want to see? Yeah. Well, give me a Vader story after the mask was put on. Like,
right.
Where, like as he's going through it, has release date for the Acolyte. I don't believe there has been one given.
And not a specific date. I think I think it's either going to be end of 2023 or into 2024. Oh, see, there you go. You can see the comments now.
I went to the YouTube page. Yeah. Yeah, but I'm going to get distracted. So
that's okay. That's why there's
release.
That's why there's 2 of us. So when one person's talking, the other person follows along the chat. I like it.
No. Looks like it's going, looks like it'll release in 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know, like, I mean, it's almost been routine where things get pushed back. Mandalorian is separate because I feel like they really want to, I mean, we've talked about it. Like, that's their baby. Disney Plus's baby is Mandalorian. They're going to keep that on schedule as much as possible.
That's the cash cow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was,
but like everything else recently keeps getting pushed back. So I mean, it could even, I mean, if it's set for early 2024, maybe it'll be mid or late, but maybe they'll give us those.
Yeah, they're talking mid. Yeah, it'd be a mid 2024
Okay.
release. So,
Well, it can't come soon enough.
which no,
I know that.
you have.
You got Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew comes out later this year. Mando, keep you busy.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, so they have some getting released, and I think if you do it, like release a series once a quarter, because it takes about a month and a half, 2 months, depending on how many episodes there are.
Yeah.
So if you do, you release, sometime in a quarter, run it out, then you have like a couple week gap, because you don't have to butt the end of Mandalorian right up to the beginning of Ahsoka or Skeleton Crew, or you can have where, hey, Mando ends middle of March, just hypothetically, middle of March, and then end of April is when, or beginning of May is when Ahsoka begins. Just throw random.
Yeah.
So
would you ever overlap things though? Would you ever, like, I don't think you would ever want to overlap the live action ones. Like, always have those spaced out so they don't overlap. But like, can you overlap a Bad Batch with like a Skeleton Crew or Ahsoka? Or does that just take away too much attention from the other shows? If you ran the business, would you do that? Not asking what you think they will do, but what would you do?
I don't think I would overlap any of them.
I think I would agree with you.
No.
And
I do think no, the problem is like with the animated, as Dustin mentioned like last week, it's not everybody's cup of tea. So you might lose some people for 6-8 weeks, lose. I mean, because realistically, what's going to happen? Instead of watching brand new episodes of the Bad Batch or brand new episodes of the re-released Rebels, maybe they bring it out. I don't know. I'm just saying. Ezra went off with Thrawn, and we don't have closure on that. So maybe we tie up a loose end over here. Just saying.
Ahsoka.
But I'm just, so you have the animated that you may not get people that watch. You definitely, to your point, I don't think you want to overlap the live action. You want the attention on that one specific live action series, and
give it its time.
Yep. Now, what I would do with an overlap is if you have a straight to Disney Plus movie release that you're thinking about wanting to do.
Yep.
Then I would overlap that. Maybe not during the preview. Maybe not during the preview side of it. I love that. The different ice cream flavors.
What's your?
I'm a vanilla. Cookies and cream, actually.
Okay.
But so I would overlap, like in like the middle of like a series, like the animated, series, releasing, premiere of a movie.
Yep.
So that's how I would do it. Live actions, they get their little bubble, and you give them like a quarter, because now you've got a little bit of lead time, the actual episodes, a little bit of lead time, to kind of, oh man, that one was awesome. Okay, then you're still, you can get prepped up now then for the new live action.
Yep. And they've been consistent in terms of how many days are allotted to these live action shows. I mean, Kenobi was 6 episodes. They did release the first 2 at the same time. So you had 5 releases for that. For Andor, they released the first 3 on day 1, and they had 12? So
they released that though because it got pushed.
Yeah, because that got pushed.
So if you stay on schedule,
And then Mando is 8 chapters per season, so that's 8 days. So you've been around that 5 to 10 day mark, and that's close to a quarter of a year.
Yeah, I mean that's you're looking at most of them have been roughly that month and a half. Mando might be 2 months, but if you started in the middle of a month, or they're starting it, February, so you're going to have the 4 weeks of February, 4 weeks of March, which will then take you into, and that'll be the end of the first quarter. So I think the spacing of it is nice. I do think that you give fans a week, 2 weeks to kind of digest and and then get ready for the next one.
Yep. And on the note of ice cream, I get the s'mores ice cream. It's super delicious. It's from Target. Or I love cookie dough. Cookie dough is another go-to for me.
I'm not a fan of because it's usually like a chocolate chip cookie dough and like the little bits of like the chocolate chip. Just give me vanilla and cookie dough. That's all I need.
I hate when because different brands, one, have different flavors of cookie dough, and two, have like different volume of cookie dough within the ice cream. I hate when you get one and there's like barely any cookie dough. You're like, I didn't order vanilla ice cream with chocolate chips and then a little bit of cookie dough. But speaking of cookie dough, I did just buy a whiskey that's cookie dough flavored.
Interesting. Have you ever gone and just gotten like the pack of cookie dough where it's like sectioned off like the little bricks that you can just tear off? Yeah. Now you're supposed to like actually make cookies with them.
Yeah.
But you just tear that off, kind of tear it up, and then you add more cookie dough to
your ice cream.
Yeah.
I've never done that, but it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like when I get a pizza, like if I get a pepperoni pizza, I add more pepperonis and more cheese onto it, and then I put it in.
There you go. But yeah, no, that's you take vanilla you take vanilla pizza. Yeah, I'll get vanilla ice cream and then I will add my own. That way I'm in control of how much cookie dough I get.
I like it. Greg likes to be in control. Is that what you're saying?
I like to. Not, but I like to.
It's because in our lives we are no longer in control. So then elements that we still can control, we want to take ownership of.
That's it.
And Dr. Med, I agree. 2023 is going to be an awesome and interesting year for Star Wars. I feel like it's going to be very similar to what we saw in 2022. And I think we kind of spoke to that a little bit last week. Just the content wise, it's going to feel very similar pace of new stuff coming out. So yeah, very exciting.
Yep.
And then he asked, any of you guys going to Star Wars Celebration in London? Sadly, I can't afford it, but I've got other conventions to look forward to, and I'm in the same boat. I can't afford it. I won't be going this year. I went this past year, so I'm going to have to probably wait until the following year when it comes back to the States. Granted, it's going to be a lot harder now because I'm going to have a child in my life. We'll see what kind of time I can get for that.
He sounds so happy. This kid's not even here. It's already ruining my Star Wars trips.
Well, I feel like because everyone around me has kids, and I keep getting the same feedback from everyone. It's almost like they're scaring me. Like, your life is going to change. You're going to have no time for anything. Which, I mean, you have time for things, but yes, your priorities definitely change, and it all goes to the child. So.
Listen, I got a 20-month-old. I can't poop with the door closed anymore. Otherwise, she freaks out in the hallway. So Mike, things change. All right. Yeah.
There's locks on doors,
She can't really turn the handle. It's not a matter of closing the door to keep her out.
If Dustin's dog, Ari, can open the door in our basement by pressing down on the handle.
Ours doesn't have it's got like the
it's the knob.
So okay. Yeah, you have to
fair.
actually turn it. And the thing is that it's not so much closing the door and like having her open it at all. No, it's if it's not open, then she will kind of pound on it. And I'm like, my God, you got to try to reach over and, open the door, pop open the door while you're on, doing your business. And Dad, like, Dad is busy. Go grab a Snickers bar or something.
No, that's not a Snickers bar in the toilet. Stay away from there. Yeah, I went there. Turning 30 in April. Awesome. Join the club. We're the 30 crew.
All right.
It gets better every year.
So, you realize that like a freshman in college or in high school, when they graduate, I'm gonna be 40. Like that thought just popped into my head.
Similar to the Bad Batch. Let's not revisit that. Those are bad thoughts.
Man.
But going back to Celebration, I really am looking forward to going again though.
Right now, Mike. Huh? What is it?
Well, I wonder where Celebration is going to be. It's got to. I know it's in London this upcoming year.
Maybe it'll be.
It's got to be back in the States, I would think, because I think they would at least go every other year back in the state. I don't know if they'll be back in California. Maybe it'll be in Florida, because Disney World. Are you looking it up, seeing if they've announced it?
I'm looking it up.
They don't announce it until like towards the end of the current Celebration, but they might have like potential sites, maybe. I want it to be like Central USA, so like, or even like Chicago, so we could go. Like that makes it so much easier to go.
They had it in Chicago a few years ago.
Yeah, one of those years. Yeah,
2019.
That'd be so nice.
Just prior to COVID, they had it. My guess is that it's going to be in Orlando. It went Anaheim, Europe.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. So this is following. They had a 2015 was Anaheim, 2016 Europe, 2017 Orlando, 2019 Chicago. I don't know what happened in 2018 when they didn't have it.
It's a good question.
I mean, 17 would have been like the 40-year anniversary of, but I don't know, who knows? But anywho, after Europe went Orlando, Chicago. So maybe 2025 is in Chicago. Yeah.
I mean, if it's in Chicago, we definitely all have to find a way to go. So I'm just going to throw it out there.
Well, I mean, I should be able to go. I'll just tell the wife, I'm like, listen, I turned 40 this year. I need this.
Yeah, it's what, an hour and a half drive for you? A little more?
Something like that. Yep.
Dr. Med, I got to ask, so you mentioned your nephew is just getting into Star Wars now. Has your nephew seen any of the movies or the shows? What route do you go into introducing the kid? I think that's always a good question in terms of, one, how early do you start the introduction and what material or content do you start with? What are you gonna start?
Resistance.
Yep. Daddy's not gonna watch them.
No, but we're gonna start from the bottom and
now we're here.
Yeah. As she's looking at me like, what is this? Be like, I had to go through it. If you can survive this, you can survive anything.
There were at least 1.5, 2 okay episodes in that show. Like the last 2 episodes of the first season.
Yeah, those were
when they actually were like connecting with the sequel trilogy.
Those weren't too bad. Yeah, it was, and I get it. I mean,
we're not the target audience.
No, we weren't. I mean, we were watching it for the content and just to see how it would relate to the sequel trilogies. But man, they really Disneyed that up.
They did. But what is cool though, this isn't talking about Bad Batch episode 3. This is just talking about Bad Batch in general. how far they've come along with like the art. I mean, if you even go back to watching like Clone Wars, the art is so much different, or the, you know, the computer animation versus now. And it's like, it seems like they're getting a lot more budget for these animated series, and it's really working well for them. I mean, you watch some of those scenes, and if they're in ships and they're flying around, especially in space, you can't even tell it's computer animated. It's not until you're actually seeing the characters or seeing like terrain. But if you're just seeing ships and like droids or stuff like that, it's no different than what you see on the big screen, I feel like.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah. So kudos.
So he says, yes, he has already started watching the films. I'm just going to let him choose what he wants. Been into Star Wars since he was 6 years old, ever since his dad took him to see Phantom Menace. Nice.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it takes me back to our first episode when we talked about how we were introduced, and I feel like it's that moment, well, that you never forget, being introduced to Star Wars. I know I'll never forget it. You want to talk?
I feel like our age group, like a lot of them were, you know, their introduction was the Phantom Menace.
Yeah. We're at that time frame where it was like split. Like,
yeah, because you got to figure. I mean, like, we were born a couple years after Return of the Jedi was made, so the original trilogy was already done and over with, and you know, home entertainment was kind of in its infancy in like that, you know, as far as like, you know, being able to get the movies to your, you know, like, you know, that. And if you didn't have a family member, like when we're 5 years old, like, unless it's on TV, unless you have a family member that has the tapes or is really into it, where were you going to get introduced to the original trilogy?
A hotel. That was me. On TV.
But you know, so for us, because when the prequel trilogy came out, we were in our, you know, early teenage years,
1999. So we would have been eighth grade,
13, you know, 13-ish, 14. Yeah, so prime to, you know, I mean, that's when you get into it, especially at like 13 years old. You're like, Mom, going to the theater. They drop you off at the theater and you're there.
Yep.
And so
I think the caveat for our age group, though, is that they released those special editions. And that was like, what, the year or two leading up to the prequels. It was like they released those knowing the prequels were going to be coming. So they were trying to like re-energize the fan base. And then
it's no different than like when Bad Batch season 2 was coming out and you rewatched the first one. You went back and rewatched the first season to kind of get you up to speed. Yeah, it's no different. I mean, hey, here's a refresher course. A lot of you probably haven't forgotten it, but here you go. And so, yeah, the older we get, we've talked the prequel trilogies and the more content that we get that fills in some of the gaps outside of Jar Jar, not bad.
Yeah. Well, I will stand by tooth and nail that the story from the prequel is probably the best story.
It's the best. Yes.
And it has the most potential for like a bunch of different stories to develop from it. Like that's what is amazing to me about the prequel is the story itself. You had newfound technology coming out that someone got a little over happy using, and you know, kind of took a little bit away from it.
Tell me that if you had that access and that ability,
I don't know anything about overdoing myself with things. As I point around to all the
at some point, you're going to get like a CGI ship going like behind you, and a full-on scene.
I love it. I'll figure it out. But yeah, the story with the prequels was absolutely amazing. And obviously, it would have been a larger impact for that story if the original trilogy wasn't out, because then you would have that that twist of Anakin becoming Darth Vader without even knowing he becomes Darth Vader. So the original trilogy out kind of took away from the prequel story a little bit, but
yeah, that makes sense.
Did you want to talk some things about Ahsoka?
I just, not so much about like the actual show and like what my expectations are on it. My main thing is I love, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that I have a daughter that will grow up and she'll be introduced to Star Wars. Now, whether she takes a hold of it and like wants to watch, but it gives you a whole series of 3 very solid female role models. Like the casting, when you hear for is it here,
Hera, Sabine,
yeah,
different
Sabine
ages of
and,
Ahsoka.
yeah, like, but you have, and I always, Hera, like I always mess up the pronunciation.
Tomato, it's fine.
Yeah, but it's just,
Cookie biscuit.
We saw Hera and Sabine in Rebels, and those characters were amazing. I mean, they stood toe to toe with the men, and in a society that's dominated by like a male vision, and you and I know it because we've benefited from it being male, and so you get that. But it's really awesome to see, and this is where I'm really excited to see where the Ahsoka series goes, because you have 3 very strong women within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
That, and the story is like, my expectations now for these 3 is through the roof, and I'm nervous that it's they're not going to do these 3 characters enough justice in Ahsoka, but I'm also looking forward to them knocking it out of the park and having a series that I can show my daughter going,
yep,
here, you want to be one of these 3, go be one of these 3 and kick ass.
Well, and what's super exciting too, and but first of all, I agree, like expectations, like I don't want to set any expectations because I just want to take it all in, but it's also hard not to set certain expectations. It's like it's a balance that needs to take place. But I think what's awesome about Ahsoka, and this is nothing against the character Rey, like I love Rey's character, and I love the stories that I love all Star Wars stuff. And thanks for your comment, Dr. Med, about prequels. We love the prequels. We love the sequels. We love all of it. So we got your back no matter what side.
I don't love The Last Jedi. Okay, like, let's be real. Okay, we're more acquaintances than anything else.
Right. But I think Ahsoka is the future for Star Wars. That is your key for moving forward for Disney and Star Wars. That's the direction they need to go, in my opinion. If they go that route, great. If they don't, so be it. But you've got a strong character in Ahsoka, who you've got a large section of her story. And I think there's a lot of things that they can do with that.
And I think that there's that line of making her, all 3 of them, making them very strong characters, because you see it in other movies and TV shows where it's like, the creators like, well, if we're going to lift her up here, we need to put, tear someone down here. It's like, no. Like, keep whoever it is here, but then show that, hey, even if they're here, you can get here. Like,
yep.
It doesn't take them being down here for you to be up here. No, you can be top dog. You can go kick someone's ass. You can be the best there is. And someone else can be here. It's just Ahsoka, Hera, Sabine.
Well,
they're better.
The analogy I like is the only way to achieve true balance is through balance itself. Like if you have a pendulum, you can't swing from one direction and go all the way to the other side. the best way for balance is to, if you hold it directly in the middle and let go, it's going to stay balanced. So the only way to achieve balance is balance. So to your point, you don't have to bring anyone down to bring someone up. You can bring them both up at the same time.
And that's my expectation, just because the characters set themselves up that way in the previous, in previous iterations that we've seen them in, Clone Wars, Rebels, there have been strong male characters that these women have just gone out and shown we're better than you. And that's what I want them to keep, because that is, in my mind, right or wrong with me, but in my mind, that's going to be the best message. So I'm real excited for it. And I love the fact that Star Wars is going that route. I know that with Rey, there was some backlash to, a female lead. Like, Leia was a female lead.
Yeah.
All they did was shuffle the deck. And, now, you still had 2 guys, 1 girl. And arguably, there were portions in the original trilogy where Leia was more important. I mean, obviously she was. She carried the message.
A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, she's the hero.
Yeah. I mean,
but like 100%, she's the hero in those movies. Sure, in Return of the Jedi, Luke gets the credit. And in Return of the Jedi, he's the one that kind of, he overthrows Palpatine, the Emperor, and everything. But I mean, she's the one that gets them out of the Death Star. That wasn't Luke and Han. That was Leia. And then in Empire Strikes Back, like, she's the rebel leader who's setting all these things in motion and planning these things out. Yeah. So, and what a great character she was. Great leader, great character.
Leia, yeah. General Organa. I mean, fantastic. And that's where, now, since that passing, you have to pass the torch.
Ahsoka.
And,
I think,
Ahsoka. Give me great Jedi. Give me great Jedi.
Right.
But yeah, I love the fact that Star Wars is taking these characters and these other like actors and putting them up on that pedestal where they should be, and give us those stories.
I agree 100%. And I think, Dr. Matt, I think you're going to get your answer with Ezra and Thrawn come that Ahsoka show. I can all but guarantee that. At least know where they are. So if
we don't, Mike,
don't set expectations. But
I am holding.
But set expectations. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But Dr. Matt, you'll have to join us when we're talking about that show, when we're reviewing it. So,
and when does Cal Kestis come to live action?
When? I don't know.
How would you do it? There's nothing currently out there that would allow you to bring him to live action, is there?
I mean,
with where his story
takes
place,
the path. We had the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and they introduced the path, and you got Quinlan Voss out there. So obviously this is post Order 66, and this is you're getting the Jedi, out. And even in his, you could tie it into leading up to the prequels in terms of searching for force sensitive kids, because that's what that first game comes out to be. You get that like holocron. Well, they destroyed it though, didn't they? And they're like, we're going to let them, their stories play out as their own will has it. But yeah, I think you can tie it in with the path. I have to believe there's a reason why Cal Kestis's character in the game looks exactly like the actor. You know what I mean? Like, that was intentional. So you could bring him to the live action.
It definitely feels, it really feels that way. And I like your thought process where you're going, the path. That, I think that would be a great transition to bring him in.
Yep.
I don't know if it would feature him or if he would just
I don't know.
But
I don't know if you're going to get a show specific about him or a movie specific about him, because I think they want his story to play out in these games. Because I think there's going to be 3. It's going to be like a trilogy of the games. So I think they flesh out his story through those. And now after that, then I think all is fair game. But I don't think he will ever be a lead. I think he'll be more of a side character,
which is fine. I mean, that's I think where he should be. I mean, that's where he should reside. That's the same as like Ezra in live action. I don't know that Ezra should be a lead.
Yeah,
but come in and and play a somewhat of a, not a fleeting like cameo, like, oh, he walked by, oh, do you know who that was? No, like, right. I don't want that, but like,
right,
actually some interaction and
play a part in the story.
Maybe an episode or 2 is focused on Ezra, pops in and then has to take off again to take care of some off planet.
Yep. And I think that's exactly how it might come out with Cal Kestis.
I think that'd be really nice, really cool to see. So and Hondo.
Well, that I would put more money on Hondo making a live action appearance at some point versus Cal Kestis.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew.
I think that's a major opportunity for that. But I go back to, like, Dave Filoni likes to use his own creations. Like, he doesn't necessarily pull from other material unless it's like original Star Wars character type thing. I don't see Dave Filoni in one of his things bringing in Cal Kestis outside of maybe like a little cameo or something like that. Now, if someone else does like a TV show or a Disney Plus show, different story. But
yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know. Yeah, they brought Cad Bane to live action, so
yeah,
give me Hondo.
You'll get him, and then Dr. Med will get Ezra and Thrawn.
Speaking of doctors, are they going to bring
Dr. Aphra? Oh man, see, these are all great questions. Ones I could spend like 30 minutes on.
That's one I
probably not going to do.
I just wanted to get you to fanboy about potentially having.
I think they will, because at some point they're going to do like a Darth Vader like mini series, like anthology film, something that's just like specifically Darth Vader at some point. James Earl Jones gave Disney the right to use his voice, so it's like that's giving the indication that they're going to use it. Now that could be like, Jedi Fallen Order game or Survivor or whatever. You can use it for video games. Or there's different things you can use it for. If they come out with a season 2 of Kenobi, I'm sure Vader will make some sort of appearance, not in timeline, but it could be like a flashback or something like that.
The Bacta tank.
Yeah, the Bacta tank. But if they bring in Vader, then there's your window for Dr. Aphra. So, not that they would, but it's definitely possible.
Well, I think, like you had said, Dave Filoni, it's not, a creation of his. So, to bring it in, and, I don't think they'd want to do a cameo just for the cameo's sake.
Yeah.
And I don't think, could have potentially brought, because you had BK in Book of Boba.
Yep.
But I don't know that we're getting a second season of Book of Boba.
Probably not, especially if season 1 turned into season 2.5 of The Mandalorian.
That's
I think you'll get more Boba, but that's going to play out in probably The Mandalorian.
I was going to say, although that, that could be your avenue to bring, for a quick 1 episode, bam.
Yeah. Do you know what's an awesome run in with Dr. Aphra and the original trilogy outside of Darth Vader? In the Mos Eisley Cantina, that little encounter that Obi-Wan and Luke had at the bar.
Yeah.
Where you had the butt face guy and then the guy
who doesn't like you. I don't like you.
Exactly.
You don't even know me.
So that guy with the scrunched up face, he I believe he's also a doctor, and he plays a big part in. Big part is the wrong word, but he has his own portion of his story that plays out in the Dr. Aphra comic, which was pretty cool. So yeah, he
Before
can.
Obi-Wan murdered him.
He has a way of like disguising himself to appear differently, so it's pretty cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go back and retroactively cameo Dr. Aphra in the original trilogy. Well, never mind. I lied.
You can't say can't.
Yeah,
they've done it before.
Yeah, Hayden Christensen showed up in movies that were made before he was born, in the year he was born. Yeah, so bad.
That poor actor that played Darth Vader.
I don't understand why they reverted back to why he thought that was a good idea.
Technology, I don't know.
But like, that's one that'll never sit right with me.
Yeah, because why is Obi-Wan Kenobi still old? But
why do you not have Ewan McGregor now as the Obi-Wan?
Yeah,
it's an older looking Yoda too. Like, why did they not?
They should have just left it as is, in my opinion. They shouldn't have changed that.
Yep.
All right, well, we'll start wrapping this down. But I did want to speak really quick. I did watch the Golden Globes. Normally I don't, but being that Andor had that nomination, I wanted to see how that played out. Star Wars very rarely actually wins the awards. They just get the nomination. So I didn't have high hopes. I think he was deserving of it, obviously. Kevin Costner Kevin Costner won for Yellowstone for leading actor in a drama television series. But shout out to Diego Luna for that nomination. That was awesome to see. And hey, shout out what is his name? Small Round or from Short Round.
Yeah.
From Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. That actor won a Golden Globe, and that was really cool to see. He was so excited. And hey, Indiana Jones is Lucasfilm, so it's relevant.
Right.
But the one thing I also wanted to share was Eddie Murphy's speech during his, what did you call it? A lifetime achievement award type of thing?
Because I don't think he was up for any
he wasn't
award. No. I don't remember the last time he was in something. But yeah, he's achieved a lot in his lifetime.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And they had a little montage for him with the different films he was in.
This is your life.
Yeah, exactly. And it was great. He had a 5-10 minute speech, probably about 5 minutes, but his whole speech, it was serious. And I'm like, this just does not seem right for Eddie Murphy to be serious this whole speech. And the whole freaking speech, he was serious and he was very appreciative and, talking about his story a little bit. And then he talked about he's been around a long time and he's learned a lot about the industry. And then he was talking to the young people and the young upcoming actors and actresses and giving them his advice. And he's like, there's 3 things I've learned that there's a blueprint for, making it in this industry. There's 3 things. And again, he's just dead serious. He's just got this solitary look on his face. He's like, number 1, pay your taxes. Number 2, mind your own business. And number 3, keep Will Smith's wife's name out of your effing mouth. And that's how he ended it. I'm like, I could have stood up and applauded on my own. I was laughing pretty hard when that happened. I'm like, man. Okay, that was worth watching the whole Golden Globes just to see that.
Very nice.
Just out of left field. But it was, you can't be serious this whole time. Your thing is comedy, so there's going to be something at some point. But
I mean, Saturday Night Live, Raw, Donkey.
That's one of my favorites. Donkey from Shrek. He does such a great job. Coming to America.
That one's a good one.
Another good flick. Nutty Professor. Hercules.
Yeah. Dr. Dolittle.
A lot of things.
Yeah, man. Beverly Hills Cop. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, man. Jesus, man, he's probably had trading places.
Oh yeah, Trading Places.
That one with Dan Aykroyd. That
Yep.
was, looking good, feeling good. Yeah.
But yeah, so shout out to Eddie Murphy. Maybe come join the Star Wars side at some point. Maybe you can portray some. I mean, at some point Disney's going to run out of actors for all the content of Star Wars that they have. So
I don't think so, man.
I know. I'm kidding.
There's a new Star Wars actor born every day.
And people have played multiple characters in Star Wars.
It was CGI. Yeah.
I mean, what's his name?
Andy.
Yeah. Andy Serkis.
That guy's played 57 billion characters.
Right. Sure seems like it.
Some of them are talking to, they have their own scene together. They're having their own conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dr. Med, I would recommend the Dr. Aphra comics. They are pretty good. Are you a comic reader?
That is a solid.
Well, it all depends on.
Listen, I would recommend you do this. I mean, it's pretty okay.
That's fair. But as I was saying it, I'm like, I don't know what everyone's content or genre preferences. I mean, you Visions was okay, but you're not really an anime person. So if you like comics, if you like the Star Wars comics, you'll like the Dr. Aphra comics. You've got Vader in them. I mean, that alone,
I don't do comics.
It is worth it. So no, I know you don't, but I'm just saying
comics to me are just lazy cartoons. You animate yourself. All right. Don't make me read.
Yeah. Right. It is nice to get visuals sometimes, because I will say the hardest thing about reading Star Wars books is all the different names in the species. So it's hard to remember what is what. So if you're reading a comic, you actually had the visual to be like, all right, that's what that species looks like or whatnot. Well, thanks for joining us, Dr. Med. We appreciate all your input and all your talk. Hopefully you'll join us next time. And I think that pretty much wraps up our episode anyway. So look at that. You made it all the way through. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on our first one too. This is our first live broadcast. We've made it through.
First. It's not our second first. It's our first.
Well, maybe it's our second first.
Yeah,
I was going to say it is our second first because of technical difficulties, but we don't like to talk about
Knights. Who's saying me?
I did like the parody. Someone illustrated the Knights of Ni in the Star Wars setting with Kylo Ren kneeling down in front. I was like, I like that. But yeah, we'll wrap this episode up. Next week we'll bring you episodes 3 and 4 of the Bad Batch. Probably a lot to talk about that because I have all these questions about that episode, and I think it can fill into a lot of.
You have questions, huh?
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. It's more like your own theory type thing, not like expectations, but more about the transition of clone troopers to stormtroopers and your opinions of that. And so things along those lines. And I think we can have some great discussion around it, but we'll leave that for next time. Do you have any final thoughts, Mr. Gregory Van Beck?
No.
Are you happy with our first live broadcast episode?
Yes.
You're sounding as persuasive as I at trying to sell the Dr. Aphra comics.
No, it was fun. Where we'll have to do a live studio audience.
Yeah.
No.
Good applause.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe
I need a soundboard and I can play some stuff along the way.
Ooh, thank you.
But I do love the live interaction portion of it. That's what I'm looking forward to with that. Yeah. So that was cool.
And Dr. Mad, very cordial, which was good. Yeah. you come at me, I'm gonna have to come back at you. You know, we're explicit now, so I got words to use.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, since we're newer to this, we don't have as much interaction so far, but I'm sure as more come along, you get those bad eggs that come through, and
yeah, but we'll have fun with. You get the trolls, but
yeah,
no, I mean
that could be a lot of fun on its own.
Yeah, but Trolls wasn't a bad movie. It was, I mean, World Tour, Trolls World Tour was not great.
I haven't seen that one.
I think that was the second one. Money grab.
Yeah.
Bastards. But the first one had Justin Timberlake and what's her nuts from Pitch Perfect.
Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, there we go. So it was, pretty good. So not all trolls are bad.
Hey, and Anna Kendrick's, she's a big Star Wars fan. So
yeah,
if she's in the movie, if she's in Trolls, then it's got to be good.
Well, if that
she has my support.
Hey, come on, you can join.
Well, maybe one of these days we'll see Anna Kendrick's in the live chat. And how do you even respond?
Hello.
I mean, that's probably pretty accurate how I would respond.
Oh yeah. No, you'd be. Have you ever seen Megamind?
Not all the way through. I've seen parts. He's like blue.
With Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
and I think it was Brad Pitt plays.
I'll take your word for it.
Brad Pitt plays like the superhero. I mean, it's animated. But yeah, Jonah Hill is a voice character. Tina Fey. The only one I'm not convinced of is who plays like the superhero. And Brad Pitt's the name popping into my head, but I'm not sure that that's him. But regardless, it is, it's pretty good. And, Megamind. Hola.
That's all we're going to respond with. Hola.
No, hola. Olo.
Olo?
Because because for the Spanish speakers, hola.
Yep.
Yeah, and he olo.
Oh gosh.
So that would be you. You would take just like a regular. You would take a regular word that you pronounce correct 999 times out of 1,000, but that 1,000th time will be you trying to say it to Anna Kendrick, and it
would get mixed up with a second word, and it would all come out as one.
All right. Yeah.
Well, hopefully that time will happen. It would be worth me tripping over my words to have her say something in our live chat.
Right? Yeah.
If you're listening to us, Anna Kendrick, give us a call out. All right. Well, I'll give a quick shout out to our socials. I always got to speak to those. So our Twitter handle at DetBlockAA23pod, our Instagram, Detention_block_AA_23, and then our Facebook group and our YouTube channel, which you are currently on if you're live broadcasting with us, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. Thanks for joining with us today. We will also be releasing this on our podcast platforms and an edited video on our YouTube channel. So if you did happen to miss us live, you'll still get the opportunity. So, all right. Well, everyone have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Like we said, we'll bring you Bad Batch episodes 3 and 4 for season 2 next time. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. And you, Greg, have a great night as well. I love your sweatshirt, by the way. USA all the way.
Thank you.
Way to represent. All right. And as always, may the force be with you.